Hey guys, I'm back with another repair video. This is a missile command. Another missile command. I kind of straightened these up because they were all laying over and everything. And so I just kind of straightened up these caps. And those are factory. I looked on the bottom and apparently Atari got wise to the glass caps and started using these. Pretty dirty as usual. Sockets will need to be replaced, of course. I got it hooked up. I'm gonna fire it up. I got my voltmeter hooked up to it. I'm gonna check voltages and see if anything comes up over there on the screen. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Nothing. There's no signal. And usually if there's at least some kind of a signal, that auxiliary sign will go away, so there's absolutely nothing going on. Well, let's go ahead and check power. 5 volts. And we got 5.06, which is good. Come over here to neg 5. And we got neg 5.34. That's good, a little high, but and 12. And 12 volts is really being killed. Okay. Well, what is hooked to 12 volts on this board? And it gets regulated. There's no regulation on board. It's regulated that comes in. The only two things I believe that are hooked to 12 volts are the sound amp and the RAM. I'm going to suspect the RAM. I think first thing I'm going to do is replace all the RAM. It's those tri-voltage RAM, and those things suck. So we're going to go with some new 4164 RAM. I'll do the conversion, the power conversion over, and we'll have 4164 RAM. Another thing is this thing has nothing going on. No signal, no clocks, no nothing. And this don't... Oh, that's broke. The crystal's broke. Yeah. Toast. Weird. It looks like it's like cooked. Huh. Alright, so we'll have to replace the crystal. I think what I'm going to do after I shut it off, which I'm going to do right now. I don't like that 12 volts being killed like that. Is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, before I do anything, I'm going to replace the crystal. And I'm going to go ahead and replace all the sockets. And I'm going to replace all of the RAM. And that might just bring this thing back to life. It might be all it needs. Is a good cleaning with some sockets. And then RAM, crystal. I'll tell you what though, there's a lot of crust on this board. Like those bus chips look terrible. Just all rusted and crusted. That bus chip's crusty. They're all crusty. Yeah, so I don't know. I'm going to go through and I'll probably do some maintenance work, some maintenance cleanup work on this board. Replacing crusted out chips. Alrighty. First things first, I'm going to replace a few things. Sockets for sure. All the CPU and the pokey socket. I'm going to socket all of the RAM. All those RAM are going bye-bye. More and more, I don't deal with tri-voltage RAMs at all. There's no need to. And they fail so often that there's really no need to. And I guarantee that's what's killing the 12 volts, are those RAM. So, alrighty. That'll be first up. Okay, desoldering has been completed. I got ROM sockets out. CPU socket is out. All 8 of the RAMs are out of the board. And I removed the pokey socket. I also cleared out where the crystal was busted. Yep. So that is it. I almost desoldered these 2 chips just because I don't like them. Look at them. Look at the legs. Absolutely nasty. There's a lot of nastiness on this board. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to clean it really quick. While I got the sockets out and everything, I'm going to clean it down really good. Before I go soldering anything into it, I'm going to make sure it's nice and clean. I just like to do that, so yep, that's what I'm going to do next. Alrighty, I did do a scrubbing of the board. It was absolutely staggering how much dirt was on this board. It was amazing. I mean, it's squeaky clean now, and it's a really super nice board. Other than the crust, you know, there's some crusted chips on there, but it came really, really clean, really nice. It was amazing how much dirt came off in the tub. But, yeah, really, really nice. Still a little bit wet from the 91% alcohol. It's evaporating off though. It's almost dry. Nice and clean. And there's the junk pile. I haven't thrown it out yet. All the sockets and the RAM. All that garbage. Now that we're all nice and cleaned up, now I can start soldering in new stuff. Sockets. All kind of sockets. Just take a look at how nice this thing looks. I don't like working on dirty boards. These things accumulate so much dirt over the years. Okay. Yep. Next order of business is to socket this board. All new sockets and a 10 megahertz crystal. Okay. Okay, after an awful lot of soldering, we got new ROM sockets, CPU socket, all of the RAM will be socketed. The pokey socket is new, and we got a 10 megahertz crystal. Alright, so what's next is I got to make sure and convert the power around so I eliminate 12 volts and -5 from the RAM. And I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hook it up and I'm going to check and make sure my +12 isn't killed anymore. I think that's the first thing I want to do is make sure that +12 is back, because I need that for the sound amp. So let's do that real quick. Okay, I got my edge hooked back up, so I'm going to go ahead and plug it in. And the good news is that auxiliary thing up in the corner, that went out. So now I know I have sync going to that monitor. That's good. And plus 12 is still killed. I still don't have plus 12. There's negative 5. Here's 5. But I still do not have plus 12. Okay. The only other thing that's hooked to it is that LM324. I'll verify that through the schematic, but I mean, it could be one of these caps could be shorted. One of these caps right here might filter 12 volts. One of these, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Alrighty. Alright, I got my leads. One of them's connected to ground and the other one is connected to 12 volts. And if I put it on continuity, I have a dead short between 12 volts and ground. So I'm going to look at the schematic and look at the 12 volt lines and find out, other than this LM324, what else? What caps are involved in the 12 volt? What are attached to the 12 volt line? Which caps they are exactly, so that I can start plucking them one at a time until this short goes away. Well, I have found the culprit. What do you think it was? It was one of these green caps. Right there. 12 volt line comes straight down, and right here in this spot, that's where that cap was. And if I put it on continuity, dead short. So yeah, who'd have thunk it? Kind of makes me, these usually don't do that, but this one, look at it, it's like beat up. Anyway, I can hook now to my ground and 12, and there's no short. No short. Okay. And I don't have a short between 5 volts, neg 5 I mean, so that's good. And I don't have a short between 5 volts. Okay, good. Garbage cap. How about that? Okay. Okay, I got her plugged back in. I'm hooked up to the 12 volts. And you can see I have my 12 volts back. I put a new cap in right here. So I got my power back. I did pull the LM324s. I thought maybe it was the problem, and it wasn't. So I'll have to put a socket there. And I took out a couple of caps, but I took this stuff out right here. 3 caps, then the green one is the bad one. And there's my LM324 I pulled. It's tested good, so I'm going to socket it and put it back in the board. Okay, so all my power is now good. Now I have to do the conversion for 4164 RAM. So that'll be the next step. Okay, now I am getting ready to convert this board, the power, to where it'll use 4164 RAMs. and I'll show you how the best way I find to do that, because all you're doing is you're eliminating this top rail right here and this top rail, or the second rail, the bottom, this rail right here. You have, let me get something to point with. This rail right here is 5-volt rail. This is a 12-volt rail. This is your negative 5-volt rail. So how I eliminate the negative 5 and the plus 12-volt rail is, you can actually see I've already done it. Is you want to, on the bottom side of the board, here, let me show you. These two wide traces that come down the board are 12 and negative 5. And what you want to do is, on this top side of the board, this is the only place you want to eliminate those voltages from. So I take my Dremel with a little ball end. It's a little diamond cutter, little ball type deal. And I turn it on low. And I just kind of, first thing you got to do is you got to suck the solder out of those two spots. And then you just set this on low and just kind of set it in there. Let the weight of it dig down a little, just a little bit into the board to separate that through hole. Because you want to eliminate that through connection to those rails. And now what I'll do is, because it kind of cuts the trace in two there, is you want to jump it, but you want to jump it with something shielded, like a piece of wire with with the jacket on the wire. Just solder right over to the, so it's connected. It's connected, but it's no longer connected to those traces on the back of the board. This one, you can drill this one out and just leave it like that, because negative 5, you just disconnect negative 5, so that can be left just like that. It doesn't matter, as long as it's disconnected from the back of the board, that's good. But with the plus 12, you want plus 5 volts everywhere that used to be plus 12. So you want that to be continuous, and then you jump over here is where I do it. This is the 12-volt rail. Let me get my pointer. Once again, this is the 12-volt rail right here, and this is the 5-volt rail. So I'll clear out these two spots of solder, and I'll do a jumper wire from here to there, and that'll run 5 volts to this 12-volt rail. But you do want to put a wire across this, because you want that continuous. And you can actually just solder a wire across it, like a lead from a resistor or a capacitor or whatever, because it's not going to touch down there. So you'll have continuity between here, but not down to the through hole. You do not want continuity through that through hole down in there. Just from here to here. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna do that, and then I'll show you how it looks, and we'll beep it out and make sure that the voltages are correct and everything. Okay, I have the power conversion complete. You can see right here we have a little red wire that jumps the 5 rail to the 12 rail. And everything else is just done on board. Right there I got just a lead across there to make sure that 5 volts that I jumped to, it goes all the way across. So we'll test with my power lead here. So we still have 12 volts at the 12 volt. We still got our 12, and we still got neg 5 on this That's neg 5. And then up here we got 5. Now on these rails, this is the -5 rail. Right here's the -5 rail, and that for the RAM, and that is floating. There's no longer -5 on it. And then we go to the 12-volt rail, which is right here. And on the 12-volt rail, we now have 5. And this is our 5-volt rail right here, right next to that. And we got 5. So now we have all of our power correct. And this is the way you want to do this, because if you have the board revision with the ROMs where it has all these ROMs filled up, then you need your 12 and neg 5 for those ROMs. So that's it. Now we're ready to put our RAM in. Everything. We can put everything in now and see what we get. Okay, we are now fully populated. Got all the RAM in, CPU and ROM. I turned it on and this is what I get. It just kind of weird now. So I think what I'm going to do, yeah, it's resetting and resetting. Here, let's do this. I want to turn it off. Turn it back on. And turn this back on. Yeah, it's just weirding out like that. Okay. Since I don't have a fluke, you know what I can do is I can put it into test. Right here's test. And I'll ground that. This is missile command. ROM okay, map okay, RAM okay. It says bad chip. Bad chip. I'm going to look at the manual and see what that means. Because it's telling me everything's okay, but then it says bad chip. So let me pull up my missile command manual and read on the self-test and see what that bad chip means. Well, I know what bad chip means. I didn't even pull out the manual. I had a pokey chip. I swapped it. Bad chip means bad pokey. Yep, so this thing's garbage. Pokey chip. I like to, if a chip is bad, I like to fold the legs in so that I know it's bad. I don't want to put this in my stock. Leave it out and forget about it or something. So there. That's how I know it's bad. Garbage pokey. Those are the only, other than the sockets, those are in the RAM that I disposed of. It's just cleaning sockets and RAM, basically. Yeah, I do have to test the sound, which I'll shut this off and I'll make sure that my speaker's hooked up. I believe it is. Let's just give it a whirl. Let's ground this. And go coin. reset. Okay, it froze up on me. When I hit coin, it froze up. So let me put it on the screen here. I'll hit coin. And start. I don't hear no sound. I do have the I don't have the speaker hooked up. Let me unhook, let me hook the speaker up, get everything hooked up, and we'll try it again. Okay. I hooked the speaker up. Sound does work. Sounds good. The thing is this thing would just kind of randomly reset on me. It seems to be good. I'm gonna let it play through, and I'll tell you what I think I'm gonna do now that I got it running. It's running good. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace all of the bus chips. Just because, well, number one, these ones are gross. They're nasty. These ones up here. And then there's two here, and this is all the addressing that goes out, and the data that comes back. Yeah, I need to test the trackball. I'll hook that up and give it a try. But I think I will go through and just look at some nasty chips and do a little maintenance. And since I got it reset on me one time. I want to make sure I have good bus chips in, because that can cause a reset if they're flaky or if they're just not quite right. But it's running good now. So I'm not ready to call it done yet. I'm going to replace some 244s. There's another one right here. This one I believe sends RAM data back through or something like that. But that'll be the next thing I do. First, I think I'm going to hook up my trackball and make sure it works. Okay, I got my trackball hooked up, and it works just fine. See, there's a reset. Just randomly will reset like that. And I think it just reset again. Yep, see there? There it goes. Resetting. It seems like it's resetting in the exact same spot. It is. So it's starting to execute its code. That could be a bad ROM. It could be bad ROM, or it could be bus chips. Alrighty, I'm gonna do a little investigation. Okay, yeah. I said I thought this looks like RAM. I have an extra set of Missile Command ROMs I had kicking around, and I was just replacing them one at a time to see if this would clear up and it would move forward. And I think I have found a culprit. This guy right here, H1. I'll go ahead and pull him out of the board. And pop this H1 in the board. And it runs. So I got these marked H1 on the bottom of it, and I'm going to go ahead and fold in the legs. Garbage. Okay. I'll just leave those ROMs like that, and these will be my new spare Missile Command ROMs. I'll just leave these in the board. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play it, I'm going to run it, and I'm going to, well, I can't beat that high score or whatever. I'm just going to let it run. Check on it every now and again, make sure it's not funking out and resetting. I am going to replace these two 44s up here. At least these two. I'll just do these two. Those are address buffers. So I'll replace those just because they look like that. And I think I'll leave the other ones alone. Yep, here's one done. Alrighty, I am through with the board. I finally ran my video up to this G07. So I made a video cable, and I've got it up on the G07 now. So it's looking great, colors are perfect. So I'm just going to let it sit here and run, you know, for a few hours. Just kind of burn in. And that is it. We have a repaired board here that's good to go, finished. Kind of a recap. It was a mess, it was dirty. I went through, I replaced all of the sockets. I removed the RAM, put sockets in, new sockets here, new socket here. Turned out it had a bad pokey, so I put a new pokey in it. Well, one that I had in stock. Had a bad cap that was shortened 12 volts to ground. H1 was a bad ROM. And this is my extra set of ROMs that I had. And as I checked them one at a time, I just ended up leaving those in. We got brand new 4164 RAM, converted the power rails over to accept the 4164 RAM. And just a general good cleaning. There you go. And as usual, if you like these kind of repair videos, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe, because I post repairs quite a bit. I'm always repairing something, so yeah, go ahead and subscribe and like. Thanks a lot for watching.